Long history of fine wine. Petri. Well, it's Monday night in San Francisco, and we have a weekly date with Gregory Hood and his attorney and great friend, Sanderson Taylor. Tonight's rendezvous is at that happy bourne from which no fish returns, Bernstein's Grotto on Powell Street. Let's join him there, shall we? Hello, Gregory. Evening, Mr. Taylor.
Ah, there you are, Harry Bartell.
Evening, Harry.
I hope you don't mind we jumped the gun on you a little. I could never resist these cuckoo clams on the half shell.
As you see, he's on to his second dozen.
You'll have some, won't you, Harry? They're very special.
Thanks, Greg, I will.
By the way, if you can take fish 2 nights running, you're invited up to my apartment tomorrow evening.
Oh, swell, Greg. What's the occasion?
A friend of mine just sent me a batch of brook trout from the Sierra.
Sounds wonderful.
But you don't know how wonderful. I swear you've never tasted trout until you've had Greg cook them.
Well, they won't be at their best tomorrow, I'm afraid. Brook trout is one dish that's better cooked under rather rustic conditions. For my money, the only proper way to cook them is in sizzling hot bacon grease in a skillet over an open campfire under the pine trees.
And that, Harry, by one of those happy coincidences, cues us directly into tonight's adventure. Our story from the casebook began just that way on a certain star-clustered evening last fall.
Sounds like a potent setting for adventure.
Well, we found plenty of that, as usual. We'd flown out of San Francisco in my Beechcraft, complete with rods and flies and a week's camping equipment. We landed in the private field of a friend of mine in Yosemite County and hiked from there on up into the mountains. The gods were very kind to us. At first, we hit a heavenly stream teeming with hungry, vigorous fish. At the end of an exciting day's sport, we knelt by our campfire preparing the evening meal.
These potatoes in the ashes are almost done, Greg.
Yes, I'd better fan up the flames for the skillet.
Did you slice the bacon?
Yes, and clean the trout. This is the life, Sandy. And we're going to have a meal we couldn't equal in San Francisco's finest restaurant. First, the bacon. There we are.
Did you hear that, Greg? I swear I heard someone calling.
It's probably little Sir Echo out for his evening rehearsal for the Bohemian Grove.
I did hear someone, Greg.
Here in the forest primeval, where we've come to escape from dazzling wenches and murderers and all those fascinating encumbrances. What?
There is someone, Greg.
Yes. Who's there?
Friends to this ground and liegemen to the day.
It's a girl.
And one that quotes Hamlet yet. You'll make an interesting dinner guest. Well, go and make her welcome, Sandy. I've got my hands full here.
Okay, Gregory. Good evening. Are you in trouble?
Oh, hello. Yes, I was glad to see your campfire. I'm afraid I'm lost.
Well, come and join us, won't you? My name's Sanderson Taylor.
Oh, well, mine's Eustace. Sylvia Eustace.
A little unwise for a young lady to be hiking about in the mountains at night, don't you think?
Oh, well,
Gregory, this is Miss Sylvia Eustace.
Oh, how do you do? Sorry I can't get up, but I must watch this meal.
do I smell bacon?
You do. You'll be our dinner guest, of course.
Oh, I can't refuse. I'm starving.
How would roast potatoes, coffee, bacon, and brook trout a la nature appeal to you?
Oh, I can't think of anything more perfect. Can I help?
No, thanks. Everything's under control. How come you're up in the mountains alone late at night, Miss Eustace?
Well, I walked up earlier today. I'm staying with friends at Denmark Lodge.
Oh.
It's about 10 miles. I'm afraid I overdid it.
What's wrong, Miss Eustace?
Here, I have some brandy in the flask here.
No, thank you. I have a touch of asthma. I'll take an ephedrine. There. I'll be better in a second. Don't worry about me.
I do wish I could do something to help.
It's all right. There.
Oh.
I'm sorry. And now, how's about the trout?
Going into the skillet at this very moment. Listen to it sizzle.
Well, I don't know if I should eat so soon after an attack, but I'm sure I won't be able to resist it. I'll hope for the best. As Shakespeare says, let good digestion wait on appetite and health on both. A wonderful meal.
Gregory, you surpass yourself.
I must confess it was mildly colossal. More coffee, Miss Eustace?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Your face keeps bothering me, Mr. Hood.
It does have that effect on some people. Yours has the reverse effect on me.
Oh, no. No, I mean, I'm certain I've seen it before.
Probably in the Police Gazette. He's always getting mixed up with the underworld.
Oh, of course. How stupid of me. You're Gregory Hood, the detective.
Well, detecting is a hobby of mine.
Well, I've seen your photograph in the San Francisco papers. Oh, dear. I was afraid of it. Hand me my bag, please.
Here you are, Miss Eustace.
Another asthma attack?
Yes, I knew I shouldn't have eaten that trout. I'll take another ephedrine.
Fascinating objects, those tiny red capsules. They really ease up these attacks of yours, do they?
Usually. There. If they don't do the trick, I can give myself a hypo. Oh! Help me! Help me!
Good Lord. I never saw an asthma attack as severe as this.
Look at her struggle. The way her body keeps arching. Sandy, this is no asthma attack. This girl's been poisoned.
Whatever you may say about the evils of modern civilization, Gregory, at least if we'd been in the city, we could have called a doctor and the police.
I know, Sandy. It was ghastly. Darn this wretched car. It should be in a museum.
The old farmer who rented it to us warned us not to expect too much. In any case, after scrambling down a mountainside in the dark, it's a great improvement.
Well, the dawn's breaking now. It would have been better to have waited up there and then carried her body down to the plane and flown it into San Francisco.
I can still see that poor girl's face as she died.
Yes, it was torture. If only we'd packed some other food, some mustard, egg whites, anything to make an emetic. But to stand there helpless and watch her die.
You're sure it was murder?
Oh, obviously. Suicides don't seek company, and it was no accident. I know the symptoms of strychnine poisoning when I see them.
We must be on the outskirts of some town now. There are a few lights twinkling.
Yeah.
I wonder where the courthouse is, or even if they have one.
If I know these hick towns, it isn't far from the outskirts to the hub of things.
Greg, could you make out anything of what that girl was trying to say to you as she died?
Almost nothing. The strychnine spasms were racking her, and that, combined with her asthma, made it very hard. Dreadful way to die. I just caught a few scattered words. Sounded like sport, engineer, tar. Does that make any possible sense to you?
No, I can't say. Well, Greg, here we are, the county courthouse.
Yes. And the lights are on. Somebody's going to have quite a shock to start their day with.
Yes, I imagine murder is something of a rarity in these parts.
Yeah. Oh, here's the sheriff's office. Come on, Sandy. Good morning.
You fellas are stirring early. What's on your mind?
Are you the sheriff?
Sure, Sheriff Turner. What's on your mind, son?
We've come in to report a murder.
Sounds as if you said murder, son.
That's what I did say. A girl was murdered last night in the mountains. My friend and I saw it happen.
You saw it. Jake, come in here. Now give me the facts, you two.
My friend and I were camping in the mountains last night. A girl named Sylvia Eustace was lost and came to our fire.
Sylvia Eustace, huh? Go on.
Well, she had dinner with us, and half an hour later, she swallowed what she thought to be an ephedrine tablet and died of strychnine poisoning.
Who cooked this dinner?
I did.
And the girl died right afterwards?
Yes.
Jake! You something for me, Sheriff? Yeah, get your keys out. You got a couple of customers.
Us? Now, look here,
I warn you, Sheriff, that I'm an attorney.
Sure, and I'm the Queen of India. Lock them up, Jake. We've got us a couple of murderers.
Oh, this is a crazy situation, Sandy. We come in to report a murder and then get booked for committing it.
Darn these small towns. The judge is off at the other end of the county, and I can't even apply for a writ.
We've got to get out of here. There's only one way that girl could have been poisoned, but we must get to San Francisco to prove it. Sandy, I tell you, we've got to get out of here.
Well, there's Jake, the moronic jailer, sitting guard up there. But I don't think we can do much with him.
No, he looks more in Edgar Bergen's line. Yet, did you notice he was reading detective magazines? He may be vulnerable. No harm in trying. Jake?
I'm coming.
What's the idea, Greg?
Take your cue from me. I'll play it as it goes.
What is it, fellas?
My friend and I have been arguing, Jake.
Oh. Well, if you call yourself friends, why do you argue?
I can see that you have a terrific sense of humor, Jake. Hasn't he, Sandy?
Terrific. That was an extremely funny remark.
Oh, nothing, fellas. Just comes sort of natural, like.
I'm sure it does. You must have your friends in constant stitches.
How's that?
Forget it, Jake. When I said my friend and I were arguing, what I meant was we were having a discussion about you. You see, Jake, I've always prided myself on my ability to read character.
Now, is that a fact?
Yes.
You read tea leaves or something?
No, not exactly. But I can tell if a man's smart the moment I look at him. I sized you up as soon as you walked into the sheriff's office. There, I said to my friend, is a really smart guy who's going places. Didn't I say that, Sandy?
You certainly did.
Well, what do you know? Say, you fellas like some breakfast?
Settle our argument for us first, Jake, will you? You've got a little more on the ball than we have.
I have. Well, you're pretty nice guys, too. What'd you argue about me?
Well, here's the way it went, Jake. I noticed that you had a big stack of detective magazines over there, and you were reading them very seriously.
Oh, read them all the time.
Yes.
Read them all the time.
Uh-huh. I said to my friend here, there's a really smart deputy sheriff who knows a lot about criminology and wants to go ahead. Am I right, Sandy?
Your exact words, Greg.
Yes.
Well, what'd you say next?
Well, Jake, I knew you'd heard our story of the murder, and I figured that you were the smart kind of a guy who would say to himself, nobody's going to be such a dope as to walk in and report an undiscovered murder when he's the only suspect. So these guys didn't do it.
Yes, Jake, that's the clever kind of man my friends think you are.
Uh-huh. What else did you figure?
Well, that you're smart enough, after hearing our evidence, to know darn well how the murder had been committed by slipping a red capsule of strychnine in among her red capsules of ephedrine. And then you'd say to yourself, I'll bet that was done in San Francisco, and that's where the case starts.
San Francisco, huh? Well, maybe you're right, fella.
Ah, you're a clever man, Jake. I'd never have been able to figure that out without your help.
Gregory, that's amazing. Jake is certainly quick on the draw.
Yeah.
Oh, just a knack, fellas. Did I figure anything else out?
Yes. I said that you'd follow the thing through logically and see where it might lead. I said that I'd bet you'd say to yourself, this Gregory Hood is kind of a detective, too, and he knows his way around in San Francisco, and if I let him go, he could solve the case and give me the credit.
Me the credit?
Yes. Then when the election comes around next spring, maybe I'd have a crack at Sheriff Turner's job.
Me the sheriff?
Yes. Didn't I say that, Sandy?
Yes, you did. Word for word.
You guys must sure talk fast. Was that the end of your argument?
Nearly. But you see, my friend here maintains that you're just a dull, obedient deputy who takes his orders and then follows them out. Now, if he's right, you'll keep us here. But if I'm right, you'll let us go before Sheriff Turner gets back to the girl's body. What do you say?
What do I say? Mister, I don't know how good a detective you are, but you're sure one swell judge of character.
Gee, Sandy, it's good to be back in San Francisco.
Sure. But I hope you realize, Greg, that in the eyes of the law, we're fugitives from justice.
Yes, but the law peered at us with very sleepy eyes this morning.
I'm afraid poor Jake won't be very popular.
Well, I had to do it. That oaf of a sheriff would have tried to pin the rap on us. By the time we'd gotten clear, it would have been too late to do any real work at this end.
I agree with you there. Just the same, I hope we never have to fly back across the Sierras in a thunderstorm.
Yes, it was rather an exciting trip. In any case, it got us here in really fast time. Well, our first port of call is obviously at the dead girl's house.
Yeah. Lucky she had those letters in her bag. What was the address again?
116 Marden Street.
Ooh, it must be this next house.
She didn't mention her parents. Stanley, I'm afraid this is liable to be a pretty harrowing interview.
I don't doubt it. But it's our logical starting point in the search for her killer.
Here we are.
It's an imposing house.
Yes, the Eustace family must be moneyed. Wouldn't be surprised if the news of her death has preceded us.
Yes, it's the maid's day out and the butler's quit. We don't want anything. Unless you're applying as servants.
Is this Miss Sylvia Eustace's home?
Yes, but...
May we come in, please?
No, you... Well, bless my soul, you're Gregory Hood, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Can't see a thing with my new glasses. I'm Sylvia's uncle. Come in, won't you?
Thank you, Mr. Eustace. This is my friend, Sanderson Taylor.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Now, you want to see Sylvia?
You mean she's here?
Yes, I think so. I'll go and see. Won't be a moment.
Greg, what in thunder is he talking about? The girl's dead. We know it.
Either Mr. Eustace is definitely eccentric or he doesn't know his niece has left town.
Yes, Sylvia's just coming down the stairs.
She's doing what?
Well, don't look so startled, Hood, my boy. Here she is.
Mr. Gregory Hood, how very nice to see you.
Sandy, it's the same girl we left in Yosemite County.
You'll hear the rest of Gregory Hood's story in just a second. And right now is a swell time for me to tell you about a red wine that's really marvelous with any kind of meat or meat dish. It's Petri California Burgundy. Petri Burgundy is a rich red wine, hearty and full flavor. A wine that can transform an ordinary meal into a real occasion. Tomorrow night, say, try serving a simple dish like hamburgers or a succulent beef stew with a glass of Petri Burgundy. Petri Burgundy is not only delicious itself, but it makes everything you eat taste better. So if you've been wondering just how much a good wine can do for a good dinner, you'll find the answer in a bottle of Petri Burgundy. Just make sure it is Petri Burgundy, because all Petri wines are good wines. Well, Greg, this is beginning to sound like a ghost story. You and Sandy see a girl die. You get thrown into the clink for a murder. You escape and then get back to San Francisco and walk into the girl you're supposed to have murdered. Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it didn't to us either, but of course the answer was obvious. The dead girl, whoever she was, had an exact double. It didn't take us long to find out who that double was.
You seem very startled at seeing me, gentlemen.
Frankly, I'm staggered.
So am I. Miss Eustace, do you have a twin sister?
No, but you must have met my cousin Hester. People are always astonished by our likeness. Oh, see who it is, Uncle, will you please?
Richard Bell, as soon as the servants go, it never stops ringing.
Well, you still look puzzled, gentlemen.
We are, Miss Eustace. You did say that your name was Sylvia, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Why?
Well, did you know that your cousin Hester had gone to the Sierras?
Yes. She left 3 days ago. She's very fond of hiking, just as I am.
Another thing. May I ask if you're both victims of allergies?
As a matter of fact, we are. You're being very mysterious. Has anything...
You're very, very popular today, Sylvia. Here's a Lieutenant Silvers of Homicide. Most anxious to talk to you. Afternoon, Miss Eustace.
How do you do, Lieutenant? Do you know...
Yes, I know them, thanks. Hello, Greg.
Hello.
Mr. Taylor. Didn't expect to find you here. I heard that you'd been detained in Yosemite County.
Yes, Stan, we were.
But only for a short while, fortunately.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, Mr. Taylor. Right now, there's more vital talk. Miss Eustace, do I understand that you are Miss Sylvia Eustace?
That's the second time I've been asked that question. Yes, Lieutenant, I'm Sylvia Eustace. Why?
Well, because I've just received a notification from Yosemite County that the sheriff up there has found the dead body of Sylvia Eustace at this address. She'd been murdered.
Oh, what in the name of thunder are you saying?
Dead. I don't...
She's fainted. I've got it.
Leave her alone. You fellows have done enough damage. Here, I'll take her to her room. Well, Greg, you are in trouble, aren't you?
I certainly am, Stan.
You've had a report from Sheriff Turner, I suppose, Lieutenant?
Yes, Mr. Taylor. They tell me the two of you broke jail and that you're wanted for murder.
Well, we broke jail, all right, Stan, but you can't believe the murder charge.
Well, no, of course not. I've known you both too long and too well for that. But officially, it's my duty to send you back there to jail, you know.
But if we're wanted on a murder charge, whom are we supposed to have murdered?
Sylvia Eustace.
Oh.
And who is the lady who just fainted?
Sylvia... Oh, I get it.
Exactly, Stan. This is a pretty complex case. Before you go shipping us back to death row in Yosemite, I think we'd better have a nice long talk. So there you are, Stan. That's the deal. Two girls, both identical in appearance, and both claiming to be Sylvia Eustace.
But why, Greg? It doesn't make sense.
I think it might, Lieutenant, when you consider that the Eustace family is obviously wealthy. Being the heiress might even be worth murder and impersonation.
Correct, Sandy. I'm pretty certain that's the motive at the back of this mess.
Well, then you think this girl is the cousin, posing as the dead girl Sylvia.
Well, that's the way it looks to me.
Shh, Greg, here she comes back now.
Gentlemen, I think I can talk to you now. May I introduce my fiancé, Dr. Bacon?
How do you do?
How do you do?
I'll have to warn you that Miss Eustace is in no condition to undergo any prolonged questioning.
Well, we'll make it as short as we can, Dr. Dakin, but you must realize that you're involved in a murder case.
How was poor Hester killed, Lieutenant?
He was poisoned by strychnine contained in what appeared to be an ephedrine capsule.
Oh, dreadful.
Stan, do you mind if I ask a few questions?
Okay, Greg. You've got to play it in your way. But if it doesn't work, it's back to Yosemite, remember.
We know that, Lieutenant.
Miss Eustace, are you in the habit of taking ephedrine?
Fairly frequently, yes.
What about it? Surely any person who suffers from allergies, as Miss Eustace does, would use the drug.
Doctor, there's no need to get so heated. Miss Eustace, are you fond of Shakespeare?
Not particularly. Certainly not the way poor Hester...
I fail to see what the devil Shakespeare has to do with it.
You'll find out in due course, Dr. Dakin.
Tell me, Miss Eustace, to what substances are you allergic?
I absolutely refuse to tolerate any more of this badgering.
Oh, you call this badgering? Well, Doctor, perhaps as her physician, you'd care to speak for her.
Well, I'm just a general practitioner. Dr. Sangerford is Miss Eustace. I'll have just...
Oh, I see. Well, Miss Eustace, I'll make you an offer. I'll drop all questioning for the moment on one condition, that you let me come here tonight and cook dinner for you.
What rubbish are you talking now, Hood?
What do you say, Miss Eustace? In any case, your uncle commented on the servant problem, and I'm really quite a cook.
Well, nothing you're saying seems to make any sense, Mr. Hood, or else I must still be dizzy. But, very well, you may cook dinner here tonight. What menu are you planning?
Brook trout and bacon, Miss Eustace. It should give us the answer to murder.
Slice up the bacon, Sandy, will you?
Right you are, Greg.
Greg, we've been friends for a good many years. If we hadn't, I wouldn't take the risk of stringing along with you on this case. Will you tell me what goes?
Oh, now don't look so harassed, Stan.
Oh.
We're on the last lap. Our question is, which is the real Sylvia? Now, the old uncle might be fooled. He's half blind.
And young Dr. Dakin might be in cahoots.
True. So we seem to have established only two positive differences between the girls. The cousin, Hester, loved to quote Shakespeare. So did the girl in the mountains. Now, according to Dr. Sangerford, Cousin Hester was allergic to trout, but somehow he'd never checked Sylvia.
Oh, now I begin to see why you're cooking a dinner of brook trout.
Yes, Stan, if she eats the trout and nothing happens, she's in the clear.
Well, I hope you're right, Greg. Maybe I'm a fool for even letting you try it. I've got a nasty feeling that this whole business is one occasion when you've outsmarted yourself. At last, you're due to be hoist with your own...
Oh, Gregory, a skillet full of bacon grease all over the floor.
To blazes with it. I've outdone myself in idiocy. Quick, Stan. We've got to warn Miss Eustace.
Get some warm water at once and some mustard.
What's wrong, Dr. Dakin?
It's Sylvia. She's just been poisoned.
How are you feeling now, Miss Eustace?
Weak, Mr. Taylor. But I'm all right.
It was a miracle I was here and able to apply the remedy in time. She'd been poisoned with strychnine.
But this makes it worse than ever. Who'd want to poison them both?
Well, Stan, I can give you the answer now. Dr. Dakin, may I ask your fiancée a few more questions?
As few as possible, please, sir.
Very well. Miss Eustace, you took some ephedrine a little while ago, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And tell me, in the past few days, did you have occasion to give your cousin Hester any of your ephedrine?
Now that you mention it, yes, I did.
Ah.
Just before she left for Yosemite. We were at a party. I'd forgotten to bring my capsules. I had an attack and went to Hester's bag and took several out. Later, when we were home, I refilled Hester's box for mine.
But you didn't tell her about this.
No, I didn't think about it.
There's the answer. Poisoned ephedrine had been placed in your box, the one you left at home. Later, quite unwittingly, you refilled your cousin's box from your own, which contained the poison capsules.
Then Hester's poisoning was a mistake. The whole thing was really aimed at this young lady, only the plot backfired.
I see it now, but why did she pretend to impersonate Miss Sylvia Eustace?
That was all part of the plot. Sylvia's cousin Hester planned to kill this young lady, then return with a perfect alibi for the murder, having deliberately been in Yosemite at the time and claimed to be Miss Sylvia Eustace, saying that her cousin had been impersonating her in her absence.
But, Mr. Hood, I still find this hard to believe.
Oh, it's logical, Miss Eustace. It's a plausible pattern.
What made you see it so suddenly, Gregory?
Stan gave me the clue. You remember the girl's dying words, Sandy?
Yes, sport, engineer, tar, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. But I didn't spot it until Stan started to rib me just now when he said I was due to be hoist with my own petard. I remembered that Hester loved to quote Shakespeare and that speech came from Hamlet. For 'tis the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own petard. That's a Shakespearean version of the biter bit. She was hoist with her own petard and knew it.
Mr. Hood, you're every bit as wonderful as I heard you were. I can't thank you enough.
You're very kind, Miss Eustace. Personally, I think I bungled the job badly.
Not a bit. Come on, Sylvia. I think you should rest for a while.
All right. And perhaps after that you'll keep your promise, Mr. Hood, and cook that meal.
It's a date.
I'd like to find out if I do have an allergy to brook trout. See you later.
Yes, goodbye. Well, Greg, this is all very well, but I'm afraid tomorrow we'll have some loose ends to tie off.
You mean a little talk with Sheriff Turner?
I certainly do. He's hopping mad.
Well, Sandy's my attorney. He'll take care of it.
That'll be a pleasure, but I'm worried about his deputy, the gullible Jake. I'm afraid he'll be in very bad repute.
Yes, Sandy, he might even be out of a job.
I hope your conscience will bother you if he is.
It probably will, and I'll find him a job in Hood and Company, importers. I'd hate to destroy his faith in human nature.
Well, Greg, as usual, that story was a honey. You know, come to think of it, I'm not so bad at quoting Shakespeare myself.
Why, Harry, I didn't know you were a student of the immortal bard.
You should just see me do a balcony scene.
And personally, I'd rather sit in the orchestra myself.
Oh, now cut it out, Greg. Look, let's run through Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. I'll be Romeo.
If you think I'll play Juliet to your Romeo, you're crazy. Besides, I know you too well.
What do you mean?
Well, when Juliet says, Romeo, oh Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Your answer will be, getting a bottle of Petri wine.
Well, can you think of a better answer? Look, if Shakespeare knew about Petri wine, he'd rave about it, too. It's great, Greg. Well, it's got to be. The Petri family has been making wine for generations. With the Petri family, the growing of perfect sun-ripened grapes and the art of turning those grapes into fragrant, delicious wine is a heritage. It's a heritage handed on down in the family from father to son, from father to son. And the skill of those generations of winemakers is evident in every drop of Petri wine. So the name Petri on a bottle of wine is more than a trademark. It's the personal assurance of the Petri family that Petri wine is always good wine. Oh, but you'll discover that for yourself. You'll learn that no matter what type wine you prefer, you like it better when it's a Petri wine, because Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Greg, what story from your casebook are you going to tell us next week?
Next week, Harry, I'm going to tell you an adventure that I call The Forgetful Murderer. It concerns itself with one of the strangest series of murders that I've ever encountered. I'll tell you all about it next Monday, Harry.
The Casebook of Gregory Hood is written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher. Original music composed and played by Dean Fossler. Gail Gordon plays the part of Gregory Hood, and Sanderson Taylor is played by William Bakewell. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. The Casebook of Gregory Hood comes to you from our Hollywood studio. This is Harry Bartell saying goodnight for the Petri family.
Welcome back. Well, a good mystery, solid solution. And I enjoyed this case, and I always enjoy Gail Gordon in this role. Now, I have to admit that I grew up, watching Gail Gordon. For what I saw of him, he was always playing the pompous authority figure, which I think became cemented as his thing during R.M.S. Brooks, playing the role of Osgood Conklin. Though certainly he had played a role like that when he played Mayor Latrivia. It just seems like after that kind of became his big thing. But he did have a radio career before that and played a wide variety of roles, including Flash Gordon. And he really does do a good job as this very sophisticated gourmet and antiques collector who solves some mysteries on the side. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now I do want to go ahead and thank our Patreon supporter of the day. Thank you so much to Marla. Marla has been one of our Patreon supporters since January 2018, currently supporting us at the Shamus level of $4 or more per month. Thank you so much for your support, Marla. And join us back here tomorrow as our Listener's Choice Countdown continues, and we will be visiting the first of two series tied for number 6 in our Standard Division Countdown. And then join us back here next Sunday for another episode of a series that I really enjoyed from the past 10 years. In the meantime, send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off. Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. Our listener support campaign continues. You can become one of our Patreon supporters for as little as $2 per month at patreon.greatdetectives.net. But today our focus is on one-time donations. So you can send a one-time donation at support.greatdetectives.net. And I want to thank Robert so much for sending along his support to the show. Thanks so much for your support. You can also use the Zelle app and send to Box 13 at greatdetectives.net. And by mail to Adam Graham, P.O. Box 15913, Boise, Idaho 83715. And if you send along a donation of $20 or more, I'll happily send you an ebook of your choice from those listed at support.greatdetectives.net, which I wrote. If you send along a donation of $25 or more, I've actually added something new I'm offering this year, which is Dragnet ebooks. Several Dragnet books written in the 1950s have actually started to be reprinted through Kindle. So if you send along a donation of $25 or more, I'll happily send you your choice of 3 different Kindle books. There are 2 novels which are pretty good. I love The Case of the Courteous Killer and The Case of the Crime King. And then there's Jack Webb's true crime book, The Badge, containing stories that were too hot to air on Dragnet. And I'll send you any one of those 3 ebooks through Kindle for your donation of $25 or more. At the $100 level, I will send you your choice of any of the 1960s Dragnet seasons. Season 2 is my favorite, but pick whichever one you would like. Or the 1954 Dragnet movie. We'll send you a DVD of that for a donation of $100 or more. A full list of available items is over at support.greatdetectives.net. Also over at greatdetectives.net, check out my review of The Red Panda Adventures Season 5. All right, well, now it's time for today's episode of Dragnet. The original air date, October the 19th, 1954. And be sure to listen after today's episode as we have our final discussion of the 5-year plan for the series. But here now is The Big Mannequin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a missing persons detail. You get a call that a man has failed to return to his home. There's reason to suspect foul play. Your job? Investigate.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, January 2nd. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of Homicide Division, missing persons detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from communications, and it was 8:12 a.m. when I got to room 24. Squad room.
Well, it's hard to believe, isn't it? January 2nd. Another year gone by.
Yeah.
You see this evening's sports page?
No, I didn't. Why?
Still talking about that Rose Bowl game.
Oh, that's all?
You know, Joe, looks to me like that last play of the game's going to end up like the Dempsey-Tunney thing.
The what?
The Dempsey-Tunney fight.
Oh, no, I don't think it will.
Oh, yeah. Big controversy over that last play.
Well, since when? All the sports writers agree.
Well, that's where you're wrong, Joe.
Well, how do you figure that? I read them all. Examiner, Times, Herald, News, The Mirror. They all agree the officials called it right.
Uh-huh. All the sports writers.
Every one of them.
Apparently you haven't seen this.
I've never seen that paper before in my life.
No, that's where you're wrong, Joe. All the writers don't agree on that last play, see? Finchley Crockett, right there, you can see for yourself.
Who?
Finchley Crockett.
Who's he?
Only the sports editor, that's all.
The editor of what? What paper is this?
Jesse County Realist. Picked it up tonight on my way in.
Yeah, well, the game's over, so let's just forget about it. What do you say?
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Just overlook the only right call on the game, huh? Just pass it right by. Joe, Finchley Crockett's never been wrong. Called the World Series, the All-Star Game, picked the heavyweight champ before the fight. He's accurate, Joe.
Well, good for him. But it's over, and the score still stands. Next year's another game, okay?
Listen to this. I'm going to read this column to you. The Bird Says by Finchley Crockett.
What's the name of the column?
The Bird. Bird Crockett.
Who?
Well, I forgot to tell you. When Crockett played for the Trojans, his nickname was the Bird.
I don't remember anybody by that name playing for USC.
No, Joe. JCU. Jesse County Trojans.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Now listen to what he says. It is a rare treat when the editor of a small-town paper gets to see one of the nation's bowl games. But your editor was so treated this week at the county seat. As you all know, the new television transmitter is now operating, and it is a rare treat. As you know, there's nothing like being at the game, but it is a rare treat when the editor of a small-town paper gets to see one of the nation's bowl games. He's a real great guy, Joe.
Yeah.
And in closing, yours truly would like to go on record and say that the last play of the game was a complete mystery to me.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. That's it, Joe. He made his point.
That's all there is to the entire column?
Well, that's it. It proves that all the sports writers didn't agree on the last play of the game.
I get it. Missing persons, Friday. Yes, ma'am. That's right. All right, we'll be right out. No, ma'am. Right away. Bye.
What do you got?
Missing husband.
Yeah.
Wife says he and another man went out this afternoon. He's over 3 hours late getting home.
It's kind of early to start worrying, huh?
No, not the way she puts it.
What do you mean?
Well, the fellow with him.
Yeah.
Her husband was going to have him put in jail. 8:32 p.m. Frank and I left the office and drove out to the address. It was located on Agatha Street. The lettering on the window read, Helmer's Mannequin Rental and Sales. The store was dark except for a single light at the rear of the place. We knocked, and a small woman in her 50s answered the door. We identified ourselves, and she asked us in.
You want to come back to the office?
Thank you.
Watch your step there. It's kind of dark.
Thank you. These dummies sure look like real people.
Yes, we specialize in lifelike models.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on the books, trying to keep my mind off of what's happened.
Uh-huh.
You want to sit down?
That's all right, Miss Helmer. You go ahead. You want to tell us what this is all about now?
Jason's gone.
That's your husband's name, Jason Helmer?
That's right.
How old is he?
53. He had a birthday last October.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think something's happened to him?
Because it's not like him to do a thing like this without telling me.
You told me on the phone that you'd heard from him. Is that right?
Not from him. Fred Madison called me.
When was that?
I guess it was about 5:45. It might have been 6, no later.
Well, what did this fellow Madison say to you?
Told me that Jason was coming right home.
Were they together when he called, you know?
Fred said they were.
Did you talk to your husband?
No. At the time, I didn't think it'd be necessary.
Mm-hmm. You know where they called from?
Well, Fred said some bar.
Did he mention a name?
No, and I didn't ask. I guess I was afraid to.
What do you mean?
Well, Jason used to drink quite a bit. We had a lot of trouble over it. Seemed like everything was falling apart, and then he straightened up and quit.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had a drink of liquor in 10 years. When Fred called, I thought that maybe he'd gotten Jason started again.
Did he say your husband had been drinking?
No, he just told me that Jason was leaving the bar and would be right home.
Was he driving?
Well, I don't know.
Ma'am?
My husband hurt his shoulder a couple of days ago. He wrenched it. I don't think he's able to drive very well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you might try to make it with one hand. Our car has that automatic drive thing, you know. You don't have to shift gears.
Yes, ma'am.
But I don't think he'd have driven.
Did he leave in your car?
Yes. Fred told him he'd drive.
Where'd they go?
Well, like I told you on the phone, to the races.
Mm-hmm. Your husband usually go there?
No. The only reason he went today was to collect some money.
From who?
Fred.
He's the man your husband was going to put in jail, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Why?
Well, he's owed us some money for quite a while. About 4 months ago, Jason asked him for it. Fred wrote a check.
I see.
And it wasn't any good.
Well, do you want to go ahead?
Well, Jason tried to get in touch with Fred and wanted to give him the chance to make good on the check. Was never able to catch him at home. Talked to him on the phone, but Fred was never there when my husband went over to see him.
Yeah.
Jason told him to have the money this morning or the bad check would be turned over to the police.
Uh-huh.
Fred showed up here this morning. We thought he'd come to pay the money, but he told us he didn't have it. And Jason said there wasn't any reason to spend more time on it, said they might as well go to the police. That's when Fred told us that he could get the money out at the racetrack. He wanted Jason to drive him out there.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. But first Jason didn't want to, with his sore shoulder.
Yes, ma'am.
He told Fred to take a bus. Fred said he didn't have any money and begged my husband to drive him, told him how he'd pay the money he owed and have enough to get home.
Yeah.
Well, they left here about 11.
Did this Fred Madison say who he was going to get the money from?
No, just that it was some friend.
Can you give us a description of your husband's car?
Yes. I've got the license number, too, if you want it.
How about a description of both men?
Well, I can give you that.
All right, Miss Allen.
Sergeant,
Yes, ma'am.
you've been through this kind of thing before. You ought to know.
What's that?
About Jason. Do you think he's all right?
Well, I wouldn't know, Miss Elmer. We'll try to find out.
We've been so close the last 10 years, ever since he stopped drinking. I guess that's what I'm afraid of more than anything else. Him starting up again.
Yes, ma'am, I can understand.
Do you think he might have started up again?
Well, I wouldn't know that either, but I'd say things might be in your favor.
Well, how's that?
Well, 10 years is a long time.
Yeah?
Good habits are hard to break, too. Before we left the store, we got a complete description of Jason Helmer and Fred Madison. We also got Madison's address and the license number of the car they were driving. Mrs. Helmer gave us a recent photograph of her husband, and we checked with R&I on both men. We found a record on each one of them. Helmer had been booked 12 times for drunk. The last one was over 10 years ago. Madison had been picked up for drunk, suspicion of burglary, and writing checks without sufficient funds. We checked the jails and the hospitals, and we found that neither man had been booked in the last 5 hours. We went back to the office and got a local and an APB on both men and the car. 9:46 p.m. We drove out to talk to Fred Madison. There was no one at home, but we got the information that his wife was employed at a restaurant on Clay Street. We went over to see her.
Can I help you?
Yeah. I'd like to see Mrs. Madison, please.
Who are you?
Police officers. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday. Here's our identification.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm Lorna Madison. What do you want?
A few questions we'd like to ask.
You mind going in the back to talk? Don't want everybody in the place to know my business.
All right.
Booth back here. Been hard enough to keep the job. Go ahead. Sit down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get you some coffee?
No, thank you.
Oh, ma'am.
I don't have to ask you what this is all about. I guess
Beg pardon?
something about Fred.
Yes, ma'am.
What'd he do?
Well, we're not sure that he's done anything yet, Miss Madison.
And why are you here?
We're trying to find him.
He is in trouble.
We just want to talk to him.
Could you tell us where he might be?
He should be home. Have you tried there?
Yes, we have.
Well, I don't know then. He left this morning and said he'd be home early.
Have you heard from him?
No?
Did he say where he was going when he left?
The racetrack.
Was he going with anybody, would you know?
He didn't say.
What kind of work does your husband do, Miss Madison?
He's a collector.
What's that?
He collects corks and bottles.
Ma'am?
I'm trying to tell you he doesn't work. He just drinks.
Mm-hmm. And how could he afford to go to the races?
He can't. The only money he's got's what he can borrow from other people to steal from my purse.
Mm-hmm. Did he say why he was going to the races?
No, I don't care what he does anymore. I tried to help him, but he doesn't make any effort to change. Just goes on drinking and feeling sorry for himself.
Any idea where he'd go if he was drinking?
Any place where he can mooch a drink. He's even tried it here.
Can you give us the name of any of the places?
Yeah, I can tell you, but will you tell me what he's done?
Well, it's just like we said, Miss Madison. We're not sure that he's done anything yet.
That's the truth?
Yes, ma'am. We'd just like to talk to him.
All right. I think I can help you find him. I got a phone call earlier this evening.
From your husband?
No, from a friend of ours in the valley, David Neeson. Fred had called him.
Mm-hmm.
Fred wanted to use his place tonight. Davis said he could. I asked him if Fred had been drinking. He said he couldn't tell, but I know he has. Follows a pattern.
How's that, Miss Madison?
He's done it before. Go out to David's place, drink himself into a stupor. David always calls me, so I won't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Could I ask something of you officers?
All right.
If you find him there, will you do what you can for him?
What, do you think it's going to do any good?
What do you mean, Mr. Friday?
I don't think he'd take our help, would he?
Why?
He didn't want yours. Miss Madison gave us the address of the place where her husband was supposed to be. We also got the address and phone number of David Neeson. We put in a call to him, but he hadn't heard from Madison. Frank and I left the restaurant and drove out to the San Fernando Valley. On the way out, it started to rain. 3113 Nordhoff Street was a small redwood house. We parked the car and walked up onto the porch. Frank tried the door. Better try it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's there?
Madison, open the door.
Sorry, I didn't order anything.
Come on, Madison, open up.
Doesn't sound like he's doing too good.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Let's talk inside.
Well, sure. Wouldn't keep anybody out on a night like this. Come on in.
Police officers.
Yeah. Well, let's go over by the fire, huh? It's cold out here in the middle of the room.
You Fred Madison?
Well, that's what you call me when you pounded on the door.
That's right.
You friends of Dave's?
We've talked to him.
He's a nice fellow, old Dave. This is his house, you know.
Yeah, we know.
Nice place. Roof's tight. Good bar. He's a great friend, old Dave.
Mm-hmm. Come on, get up.
Yeah. How you fellas like a drink, huh? You know, something to keep the chill out?
No, we don't want one. We think you've had enough, too.
Well, how about you, mister?
No, thanks.
Okay. But don't say I didn't try
Put
to...
the glass down, Madison. We don't have enough trouble answering our questions as it is.
Well, that's just where you're wrong.
Is that right?
Yeah. One thing everybody says about old Fred, he can handle his booze. You've never seen old Fred swinging.
Put that glass down.
Okay. Like to cooperate. Mind if I sit down?
Here, I'll help you. Sit right here.
All right. Old Dave ought to get some cushions for these benches. All
Yeah,
right.
you want to start talking now?
Whenever you're ready.
What'd you do today?
All day?
That's right.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Where'd you go?
Took a little ride out to the track.
Races?
Yeah, took a little ride.
Did you go by yourself? I said, did you go to the races by yourself?
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't.
Who'd you go with?
Friend of mine.
What's his name?
Well, you don't know him.
Give us his name.
Jason Homer.
Tell us what happened.
Well, nothing. We drove out there and saw the horses.
Did you make any bets?
No.
Then why'd you go?
I like horses.
You know that's not the reason. Now, come on.
Okay, I went out to collect some money.
From who?
Why are you asking all these questions?
Did you get the money?
Yeah.
What'd you do with it?
I don't think that's any of your business.
You do anything wrong with it?
No.
Well, then you don't mind telling us, do you?
Pay the bill.
To who?
Jason.
How much you owe him?
$100. Listen, I don't like all these questions. The way you guys came in here, I don't like it at all. I don't think I'm going to answer anything more for you.
I think you are. Now, where'd you go after you left the track? Come on, Madison.
Told you, drove out to the valley.
Almer go with you?
Yes, he did.
Who drove?
Me. Jason has a sore shoulder.
All right.
We stopped at a bar, had a couple of drinks. Homer was feeling pretty good that he got paid.
How about Halmer? Did he have anything to drink?
Who?
Halmer.
Yeah, a couple.
What was the name of the bar?
What?
The bar. What's the name of it?
Well, I don't know.
You stopped at a place and you don't know the name of it?
That's the way it is. It doesn't matter what name's on the outside anyway, just what's on the bottles. That's what's important.
All right. What happened then?
Jason said he had to go home. He wanted me to call his wife and tell her he was on the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
What time was that?
Oh, I guess about 5:30, someplace in there.
Yeah.
Oh, we sat around and had a couple more, and then he left.
You stayed on after Halmer left, huh?
Yeah.
Who paid for the drinks?
Well, who do you think? Me.
How much money did you collect out at the track?
$100. Collected it and then paid Jason.
All right, let's see your wallet.
Why?
Come on, get it up. How much money have you got?
I don't know, not much.
Well, take a guess, will you?
$20, $30.
All right, open your wallet and count it.
Well, it might be better if you did.
I said you count it.
Okay, but don't get mad at me if I do it wrong.
We'll try not to.
All right. Let's see, there's 10, 20, 25, 26, 27. $27. That and the change I still got in my pocket. You want me to count that, too?
Never mind.
I'll be glad to do it for you.
Let me see your wallet.
Well, certainly. Here you are.
You keep the money.
All
Now
right.
give me the wallet.
That wallet's a present from my wife.
Mm.
Real nice. A Cordovan leather.
Yeah.
Not a stitch in it, you know, all folded.
Okay, here. Put it back in your pocket.
Yeah, thank you.
Where'd you get the money, Madison?
From in my wallet.
Before that.
I had it.
Since when?
This morning.
I won't hold.
Why?
We got it that you were broke this morning.
Oh, I got it now. Now I have got it.
You have, huh?
You think I'm a thief, isn't that it?
We'll let you tell us.
No deal.
Huh?
I didn't steal it.
All right, then where'd you get it?
From my bank.
When'd you get it?
Tonight.
Well, you're going to have to do a little better than that, Madison.
Well, I don't know why. Be perfectly happy to prove it to you.
When you're ready, huh?
All right, I'll show you. Take you right out there. You think all the banks close at the same time, don't you?
Go ahead.
Well, you're wrong. Mine's always open. Of course, it don't pay any interest, but it's there and it's always open.
All right, let's go.
Sure. Take you right out there. It's out in Canoga Park.
You got a coat?
No, sir. Hey, how about a little drink before we go, huh? Kind of warm.
Put that down. I told you once. You've had enough of that.
Ain't that much. Hate to figure what would happen if I ever ran out. I hate to think about it. It'd be terrible to have to go without it.
Well, I'll tell you something.
What's that?
If that bank of yours isn't there, you're going to get the chance.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Because of Fred Madison's condition, it was difficult to know how much of the truth he was telling us. We went back to the car and started to drive toward Canoga Park. On the way, we stopped and put in a call to Mrs. Helmer. Her husband still hadn't returned. Madison directed us to drive to a ranch-type house on Kelvin Avenue. By the time we got there, it stopped raining. We parked the car and walked up to the house. There were no lights on and no answer when we rang the bell.
All right, Madison, you through playing games now?
Bank's out in the backyard.
What?
Backyard. There's a barbecue out there. Bank's a tin can near there.
All right, show us.
Sure. I used to live in this house.
That's so.
Yeah, I always figured that someday I was going to need some money. One time I just went out and buried some. Figured there'd be a time when I was going to need it.
Yeah.
And it's a tin can near the barbecue.
What time are you here today?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a watch.
Haven't got any idea, huh?
Sorry. That catch is kind of tricky. You got to pull it towards you. I always meant to fix that when we lived here.
All right, now where's the barbecue?
Well, one of you got a flashlight? Now, let me have it.
You tell us where you want it pointed.
Gee, you don't trust anybody, do you?
Where's the barbecue?
It's over in the corner of the yard right near the fence.
Where, over here?
Now, swing the light over to the left.
All right.
There's nothing there.
Maybe I made a mistake. It's been a while since I've been here. It must be in the other corner of the yard.
Over here, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Take a good look. You're not doing so good tonight, are you, Madison?
I don't understand it. I saw it today.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the owner of the house.
Yeah, we'll check with him.
Yeah.
I sure don't understand it. Right in the corner of the yard near the fence.
What you fellas are looking for?
Police officer, sir. We tried the door. There wasn't anybody home.
You tell me what this is all about?
You live here, do you?
That's right. What are you looking for?
You know anything about a barbecue pit in the backyard here?
Yeah, why?
You want to tell us where it is?
I tore it down 3 months ago.
We returned Fred Madison to the office for further interrogation. Frank and I attempted to talk to him without result. He said he couldn't remember where he'd gotten the money. He couldn't tell us where Jason Helmer was. We put in a call to the missing man's home, but he still hadn't returned. We rechecked the hospitals and the jails without result. 1:14 a.m. We were ready to give it up for the night. Frank went over to the office, and I got Madison ready to leave.
You going to take me to jail now?
You call it. Come on.
Joe.
Hold it up, Madison. What do you got?
A call just came in about Helmer's car.
Yeah.
They just found it.
While men from the business office took Madison over to the main jail for booking, Frank and I drove out to the valley again. Helmer's car had been found about a mile off Topanga Canyon Boulevard on Farview Road. It was back off the road and partially hidden by the trees. When we got there, a radio car was standing by. We talked to the officer.
Take a look at the back. Stuff on the ground there. I covered it with the boxes in case it started to rain again.
That's good.
These stains here on the ground, I don't know if they're going to mean anything.
You got anything we can use to open this trunk?
I'll check our car.
All right.
What do you think?
I don't know. Better get in touch with the crime lab, have them come out and go over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got something. Try this.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Can you get it?
Put that light over here, will you?
Yeah. How's that?
That's better.
Need some help?
No, I think I got it here. Once more ought to do it now. Yeah, there we are. Let's get it open now. Thought maybe we'd be wrong.
Yeah.
It's Helmer. We put in a call to the crime lab, and they came out and made an investigation of the scene. From what we could tell, Helmer had been killed by some sort of blunt instrument. His empty wallet was in the trunk beside the body. 6:48 a.m. We had Fred Madison brought from his cell.
I feel lousy. My head feels like it don't belong to me.
Why don't you tell us the truth?
You haven't told me what this is about. There's no reason why I should answer your questions if I don't know what you're trying to get at.
We told you, we want the truth.
All these questions over and over, the same things.
You can make it easy on yourself.
Well, how?
Come up with the right answers.
But I've told you.
Yeah, like the bar you went to called the I Don't Know, huh?
I'd tell you the name if I knew. I've been drinking pretty good.
I'll get it.
Right.
Yeah.
From the crime lab, Field.
Here, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Madison?
Yeah?
This is about your bank.
What do you mean?
This explains where you got the money.
What?
When you took the currency from Helmer's wallet, you left 3 perfect prints on one of the celluloid envelopes.
You mean something has happened to Helmer?
You tell us.
Come on, you can drop the bluff. These prints are enough to indict you. You want to tell us?
He was going to send me to jail. I didn't get the money at the track. I tried to get him to give me some more time.
Yeah.
I was so righteous about it, said I had enough time. He was going to go to the police.
Mm-hmm.
I pleaded with him, but he wouldn't listen. It happened real quick. Maybe if I hadn't been drinking, it might not have been this way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I started to think about the big trouble was in. I figured it was on account of money.
Is that right?
There really was a guy at the track, you know. He was going to lend me the money to pay Homer.
Mm-hmm.
If he'd have loaned me the money, it would have solved everything.
What was another way?
What do you mean?
That money owed Helmer?
Yeah.
You could have worked for it.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On May 14th, trial was held in Department 92, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial. Frederick Carson Madison was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. On recommendation of the jury, he was sentenced to life imprisonment in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Herb Ellis. Script by John Robinson, Earl Schley. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Lux Radio Theater presents David and Bathsheba tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
Welcome back. Dragnet is usually so dedicated to accuracy. I actually went online to find out if there was a Jesse County, and there is not one in California or anywhere else. But apparently they thought a lot about that joke to set this story, which was broadcast originally in mid-October, to set it around the time of the Rose Bowl, just to set up the joke. And it was nice. It's kind of interesting because it captures a little bit of the spirit of the time, particularly somebody in a small town just being awed by being able to watch something on television, which is easy to forget in a world where television is just so ubiquitous. And of course, it does bring home the point that you can find somebody who disagrees, no matter how ineffectively they happen to do it, who will advocate for an opinion if you look hard enough. Of course, today you don't have to find some small town weekly newspaper somewhere to advocate for your view. You can just put the argument you want in the internet, and you could probably find somebody on some obscure blog who's making the case for it without it costing you anything. That's the 21st century for you. I also did have to chuckle at that one evasive answer that Friday got. Where'd you get the money? From in my wallet. All right. Well, now we're to the point where I'm going to talk about what we have planned for Saturdays for the next 5 years. Now, we will finish Dragnet during